Hi guys, good morning and good evening. I hope you're able to hear me. Yeah. So let me create a complete and since it is a community edition, once it is expired, then you have to make sure to recreate it first. Otherwise, you cannot practice with the community edition. Let's go for create complete. My cluster. Let's create it. So let it create. Let's go to the workspace. Set users, username, and dbfs commands. So there is a few things that I need to talk about it. Okay, so did you get a chance to do this exercise? Is anyone done? Okay. Okay. So let me take you through how we can do it. Okay. So I wanted to get only employee one and employee two. I need to upload all these files into the storage. Then only I can handle it. I need to make sure to have all these three files. Let's go to the catalog. ABFS. File store. AD02. Let's take an input folder. Employee 1, 2, 3 is there. Employee 1, 2, 3, department.txt, customer.txt is required. Let's upload. Okay, so in this particular case, I have an employee 2.txt is also is available. Let's say it is output. So in the output, I'm just going to remove this output directory for doing this practice. Okay, so db it will start. Let's add a cluster. So in the output, I'm just going to remove this output directory for doing this practice. Okay, so db it will start. Let's add a cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 1 db utils dot fs dot rm. So I'm just passing this and I'm just removing this entire folder. Let's say true. Let's execute it. Okay. So no data is available in the output directory. So I'm just going to show you, is there anything inside the output? Output itself is not available. Okay. So no output folder is available. From all these folders, I wanted to take only employee1.txt, employee2.txt, and employee3.txt. I wanted to get it. So if this is the case, then what I have to do is first you need to get the list of the files. So from where? From input directory, you have to get the list of the files. So we know already how we can get this list of the files. Okay, so the same thing, I'm just going to replicate this code, just taking this entire code. So from the input, whatever it is coming, I'm just keeping this here inside this list underscore files. And target directory, I'm just keeping output. And whatever is there inside that, it is going to get it. So file name is going to have this. And I wanted to check, is file having so here I'm going to take this one. It is going to have, this is the only file name we are going to have it. Then the split extension we are going to have it, right? That is fine. So here I wanted to say if I wanted to search emp in this file name. Okay, so for timing, I'm just taking out this code. So I wanted to say colon print. Yes, let's execute it. Okay, that is fine. So since we converted into uppercase, I'm just trying to find emp. Let me say it is emp. So if emp is there inside the file name, then it is going to say true. Okay, so I'm just going to, if it is yes, then I wanted to take a source path. So source path we already have it. You can have it as is the source path, and then this file name also you are going to get only if it is having emp. Otherwise, it is not going to get it. So I wanted to see. I wanted to print what is there inside this source path and target path. Okay, so only employee 1, 2, 3 is getting. You can see here employee 1, 2, 3 only I need to get it. So because we are checking if file is having, if this particular text is available inside the file name, then it is going to take that. Otherwise, it is not going to consider. Okay, so that is what I wanted to do here. Okay, so and finally you can make this comment and execute this. So source path and target path, this is the source path and this is the target path. Let's execute it. So if you go and say what is there in the target directory, you can find there is a 3 files. db dot fs.ls. Let's execute it. Sorry. Just paste this name only. Now you can have a 3 files here, employee1.txt, employee2.txt, and employee3.txt. Okay, so try to get the same kind of requirement. Let me take this again. So this is the task for you. You have to do it. I'm just going to have a customer.csv, department.csv. So in my target, I wanted to take customer.csv and this one. Customer.csv and department.csv. So just to try for this, how you can get it. Okay, and create a custom function for this. Create a custom function, and if a file is starting with CSV, then I wanted to take with the CSV. Okay, you can try to get the code like this, or even if you wanted to create a custom function for it, you can do it. So it's up to you. However you want, you can do it. But I wanted to get the output is like this. Okay. And when you have your files, I wanted to read the data from the today's file. I wanted to read the data from the today's file. So if at all if the file is uploaded, something like this, let me. Okay, so I'm having the files like this. I'm just going to give 04. $29. This is 28. This is 30. So these 3 files I'm going to upload in the source. I wanted to read the data from the today's file. Okay. So I'm just taking write a task. Upload the files .txt CSV, that is 29 .csv, that is 30. So 3 days files I'm just uploading. So since I'm having a 29 here, I'm taking current day file and previous day file and next day file. So 3 files I just wanted to upload into the input directory. Into input directory. Copy the data from current day file. Okay, so this is the task. And you can try previous day file. You can write previous day file if you have it. Okay. So here I wanted to show you how we can do it for current day file, and you can do it for just for practicing only how we can write a code for that particular purpose only, nothing more than that. Now we need to have 3 things here. We need to read the list of files once you upload it. Okay. You have to read them, and what you have to do is we need to have a current date also. Current date also is required. If you have a current date, then you can get it. Okay, so that is the task for this particular task. Okay, so let me upload the files first. Catalog, DBFS, file store, AD02, input, upload. So 3 files are uploaded into the input directory. So only one file it is going to load it from the input directory to output directory out of all the files. Okay, so we have to read the list of the files. We have to read the list of the files here. For to read the data from the list of files, list underscore files equals to same dbutils dot fs dot ls, and you can specify the path here, file store AD02 input directory. Now, if I say printf lst underscore files, you're having all these files. Okay, so but I wanted to take only if the files are having, if the files are having, what you can say, if the files are having some data, then I wanted to take it. Otherwise, I don't need it. Just leave it as this at this point of time. I wanted to get the list of files are there here now, and I wanted to get a date. So current date, I wanted to take it. So in order to take the current date, we need to import a datetime module. We don't have a directly functions, and you have to import from the datetime module in order to have a datetime function. So I'm going to say from, basically I recommend you to keep in the first line to import it from datetime, import datetime. So from datetime, I wanted to import this datetime function in order to use the functions to frame the date. Okay. So from the from datetime module, I'm just going to import it. Now, a dt equals to a date I wanted to get, current date I wanted to set. Datetime dot now. There is a function called now to see what is the datetime here. Just commenting this particular statement at this point of time. Let's say print of dt. Now you can see how date is available. So which format I need to get? YY format I wanted to get it. So then we have to use the format function. Okay, we have to string time. There is a format option that we have to get it. Let's say dt underscore. We can say file underscore dt format equals to. So I'm going to use dt dot str f time string format time. Here I'm just going to take m. If I take only m, what it is going to print? Just observe. Percentage. Now I can see 04 is coming, month is coming, and then D is required, percentage D. Let's execute again. Now I can see 0429, and then percentage Y. Okay, so you can search in a Google for this, how we can get this date format, we can handle it. Okay, even if you forget. And this one is going to check, I'm going to check is this date available in the file or not. Okay, guys, give me 1 minute, I'm taking my tea. I'm back. So here you have a date now. Okay, so we need to check is this date available in the file or not. So before that, we need to split this files. Okay, so to split it, we don't need to split because we are not going to change the extension. The extension will be the same, and I'm not changing the name of the file. I'm just going to check is file name having this particular date or not. Okay, so this list of files we're going to have here. Can take out this. Now I wanted to check for loop I in what? This list of files. And then I'm going to check if condition. If what is if condition? This file date format in I. Then print yes. What happened? File format. First, let me print I. What is there inside this I? Yeah, I dot name we need to take it. Not this one. Okay, so I'm just going to take I dot name. So file name, file underscore name equals to I dot name. That is, we know it. So now if I print this, then you're going to get the file name. So inside this file name, I wanted to check this particular date. Okay, so if in file name, I wanted to say Let me keep the colon here. Now you can see there is only one file which is having this particular text. So I hope everyone is following with me. I have a list of files. From this list of files, I'm just having iteration, and i.name is going to have the name. And of course, file path also I'm just going to take src. Let me keep the same naming standard. Source path is i.path. And let's keep the source directory also. And it is a target directory. And source path files are available. This one is getting. And source directory. I'm just going to take this source directory inside this if function. Source directory equals to your source path plus your file name. Now if you print this, what is the source directory? It is going to show you. Something is missing. Source path is fine. Here it is target path. Source path, target path. Let's execute it. Now you can see this is the target path. I'm just going to have it. Okay, so source path, we already know it. What is the source path? You can see your source path is their input directory and target path is their output directory. So in this particular case, I'm just going to use the cp command. dbutils.fs.ls. So here I'm going to take a source path, comma, target path. That's all. So only one today's file only is going to be read. Okay. It is used to get current date. Format date as per requirement. So here you are checking current date. Checking current date in the file. That's all. Okay. So any question from here? I'm just making everyone unmute. Okay, so I'm just going to execute this. What happened? Target source path, target path, not ls. It is cp. So now it is copied. So go and see your output directory. Catalog, dbfs, file store, ready02, output folder. Inside output you can see customer underscore 0429 2024.csv is the today's file. So like this we can do it. So this is all about how we can handle the commands if you wanted to, if they ask any, depends on any condition, if they wanted to do moving a file, then you can go with this particular options. You can break them into the pieces and you can try how we can handle it. So mostly for loop and if function, we are going to use to check the conditions. For loop to iterate the loop, and if there is any condition, you can use the if function to apply the conditional checks. Okay, so that's all about this dbfs commands, and I wanted to take you through RDD from now. So basically RDD is negligible, guys. Okay, but have an idea how we can create a RDDs under. Mostly, most of the projects are not using this already. It's a traditional or older API it is. Okay, so Spark is having two different APIs. Spark is having two different APIs. One is low level API and higher level API. So most of the places, if it is a brand new project, most of the people are using high level API. High level API, people are getting used. And low level API, we have it. Low level API is little difficult to understand. And very starting of the Databricks, very starting of the PySpark, we have that option. I mean, it's a low level API. Low level API is RDD, we can say. And high level API, we can say data frame, Spark SQL. Okay, so these are all the high level API that we are going to come across it. But this is also important if we have any projects which are existed with the legacy systems. If you have a projects with the legacy systems, then you need to know how we can have a RDD also. And one more thing is, these are not going to help us to handle unstructured data. You can handle semi-structured data, you can handle structured data in order to transform the data. If you have a unstructured data, then 100% you have to go for RDD only. Okay, so RDD is also useful, but in many places they are not giving a training with this RDDs. But still, we are going to say, if at all, if you have a unstructured data, like log files will be there. Okay, so plain text. So plain text also is just unstructured data. If you have unstructured data, then we are going to deal with the RDD to make the structure. Okay, so how we can handle that, we are going to say. Okay, so basically when you go for writing a notebook, this is how, this is the main database is. So whatever we have seen, Python basics and the DBFS commands. DBFS commands both are there, Databricks as well as Python. Okay, so with only DBFS commands, we can just move from one place to other place. But to check the file name is having that particular data or not, then to iterate the loop, definitely we need to go with the combination of the Python. Okay, so then only can handle it. Okay, so when you go for writing any notebook, we are going to have three phases. Every notebook is going to do the same thing. So basically, the main intent of this Databricks or Spark is to transform the data. For ETL processing, we are going to do it. We have done ETL processing with the Azure Data Factory, and even traditional tools also were there in the market in order to go for ETL processing. So here also we are going to do the same thing. There will be no much differences. The process is same. We are going to do the ETL processing. So when I say ETL processing, definitely how we can extract the data, how we can do transformation, and how we can load the data. So these three phases only is going to be there when you create any notebook in the Databricks. When you create any notebook in the Databricks, then we will be having three different sections. Three different activities we are going to do. Okay, so let me write here. When you create a notebook, there will be three sections in general. Okay, one is reading. So at the time of reading, we are going to use PySpark. So PySpark means what? Spark plus Python. Spark plus Python. In place of the Spark, people can use even a Scala also. This Databricks, the Spark was designed, the Spark engine was designed with Scala. The Spark engine was designed with the Scala. So you can also use the Scala. Okay, so they are not calling as a Spark Scala because the Spark itself is designed with the Scala. Because of that reason, we're just calling them as a Scala. But when it comes to others, Spark plus Python is a PySpark. So we can use this. the reason why we are going to use Python as part of the notebooks is because they are having very huge number of modules are available. Okay, so you can use many modules. You can import. Just now we have imported data module, right? In the same way, you can import any module into the notebook, and you can use those functions in order to do the transformation. So that facilities we are having. Whereas in Scala, we have a less number of modules. Okay, and the second one is the second part or second section is transformation. So transformation also we are going to do with the PySpark. We can do with the PySpark and we can do with the Spark SQL. Either one of them you can use it. If you are good enough with the PySpark, then you can go for doing transformation with that. If you are not interested to do with the PySpark, then you can also write a Spark SQL. A pure SQL code you can write to go for transformation. So in my case, I came across many times with the Spark SQL in order to do the transformation because everyone can understand SQL easily. Okay, so every ETL developer, already traditional ETL developers, they can easily understand the SQL code. So because of that reason, even in the starting of the sessions, I talked about the SQL, how we can read the data from the single table, how we can apply the filter, or how we can create a columns, how can we join the two tables, and different types of string functions, number functions, date functions, aggregate functions. And we came across all those functions as part of the SQL. The reason is because of this. Okay, so how exactly we can do it, we'll come across this as part of this database also. So when it comes to the PySpark, in PySpark we have a low-level API and high-level API. Low-level API is RDD. High-level API is data file. Of course, this Spark SQL is also high-level API. Okay, Spark SQL is also high-level API, and only RDD is the low-level API. So in order to do the transformation, you can use the RDD or you can use the data file. I recommend you to use the data file. Okay, so if you have an unstructured data, then definitely you need to know about the RDD, how we can handle it. We are going to come across it. And then third section that we are going to do is loading or writing. 100% you have to use only PySpark. No Spark SQL. Okay, so definitely we can use PySpark. I mean, it's a Python code that we are going to use to write the data. Okay, so simple only. That's not going to be difficult. It is very much common. If you can have a one notebook in your place, if you have a one notebook, then you can reuse the same thing. You can take a duplicate, you can clone this the way we clone data sets or pipelines as part of the data factory. In the same way, you can clone your notebook and you can reuse the existing code. So that is what we did it. We can save a lot of time when you go for cloning. Okay, so only the thing is first to think how we can write it. That is the important. Now, I wanted to talk about RDD. So RDD means resilient distributed data set. Resilient distributed data set. Resilient distributed data set. So if you remember, I told you when you upload the file into Azure Data Lake Storage N2, ADLS N2, the file is going to divide it into blocks. The file is going to be divided into blocks, and the blocks are going to be distributed across the nodes. That we talked about it. How the cluster is going to store the data, we talked about it already. Just go through the previous sessions. You can understand how exactly the distributed data, how the data is going to be distributed across the different nodes. The very starting of the data factory sessions, before starting the data factory, at the time of Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, I talked about it. The same concept here also. The data is going to be distributed. The data is going to be distributed across the different nodes. Okay, and let me say here, when you use this one, RDD is immutable. You cannot modify the RDD. You cannot modify the RDD. So if you remember in Python, we have a tuple. We have come across it. A list can be modified, whereas tuple cannot be modified. Tuple is immutable. List is mutable. Okay, so here RDD is immutable. You cannot modify the RDD. Okay, you cannot modify the RDD. And RDD will be having the, when you have a RDD is going to have a, RDD will be having two things. RDD will be having two things. One is transformations and actions. So transformations are there inside the RDD and actions are there inside the RDD. Okay, so RDDs are having transformations. What are the different types of transformations we are going to say, and what are the different actions also we are going to come across it. So once you have a RDD, why we are going to create a RDD? In order to do the transformation. So RDDs are used to transform the data. RDDs are used to transform the data. If you wanted to transform the data, you have to go for RDD or you have to go for data frame. So I'll come across this data frame. Let's concentrate with the RDD first. So RDD will be having transformations and actions. So what happens when you have a transformations? What happens when you have a actions? That I'm going to talk. Okay, so and one more point I wanted to say, RDD support lazy evaluation. Okay, RDD supports lazy evaluation. When you start doing the transformation, it will not go and do the transformation. So it will wait. It will wait for action. Okay, so until unless you say do it, then it will not do it. You can set up all the steps, whatever you wanted to set up it. All the steps are going to be, is not going to be executed. So when they are going to be executed is, when the moment you say action, then it is going to start executing. So till then it is not going to execute. So that kind of operation we can say lazy operation or lazy evaluation. Okay, so if it is started executing when the moment it is derived, when the moment it is declared, then RAM is going to be full. Okay, so to utilize the RAM, because RAM is very, very important for the Spark processing. Okay, so in order to do data processing, in memory is very important. So because of that reason, it will not do any execution when you create a transformation. So the transformation is going to be executed only if you call the action. So because of that reason, it is a lazy evaluation. And there are two different types of transformations in RDD as well as in data frame. Okay, so in simply I can say in Databricks or in Spark. Okay, so there are two different types of transformations in the Spark. Okay, so PySpark or whatever it is. Okay, so we have two different transformations in the Spark. One is narrow transformations. And second is wide transformations. There are two set of transformations we are going to have if you wanted to do the transformation. Okay, so we'll talk about what are the list of actions we're having. We don't have a different types of actions, but transformations, we have a different types of transformations. One is narrow transformations and the other is wide transformations. Okay, so when we are going to call that is a wide transformations, when we can call that as a narrow transformation. I'm just going to give some definition for this. You can understand how exactly this narrow transformations are going to be there. So narrow transformation means transformation that does not require data movement between partitions. So what happens is, when the moment you start doing the transformation, when the moment you do the transformation, you will be having a cluster, right? Let's say here it is 4 node cluster. Okay, so one will be master and rest of them will be the worker nodes. Okay, so this is the master and these are all the workers. So workers means slaves. Okay, so if the file is having a 4 blocks, just imagine if the file is having employee.csv is having 4 blocks. Okay, so 4 blocks were there in the data source. So what happens is, depends on the number of blocks in the data source, that many number of partitions is going to be created by RDD. Okay, so that many number of partitions are going to be created. That means here you are going to have a partition 1, T1, T2, T3, and T4. So 4 partitions are created. So this is going to this node is going to process separately. This node is going to process the data separately, and every node is going to process the data separately. So when you have some work, if you instead of doing with a single person, you are asking 4 persons to do the work. You are giving a work to the 4 persons. Then here 4 persons are trying to do the work. Everyone is going to do their individual work. And once they are done, if at all, if your transformation is not dependent to move the data from the partition 1 to partition 2 or partition 2 to partition 3 or from between the partitions. That is what I'm saying. You are doing some transformation. A transformation that does not require data movement between the partitions. If at all, if you're not moving data between the partitions, then we can say that kind of transformation is a narrow transformation. So narrow transformations improves the performance. Basically, narrow transformations improves the performance, whereas wide transformations are going to degrade the performance. So when we can go for degrade, like let's say for example, we have seen in SQL Server group by operations, right? So group by, sorting, okay, and joining. This are all what? These are all wide transformations. You have to group, you have to swap the data from one partition to another partition. So data is going to be swapped between the partitions. If any transformation is having a requirement to swap the data between the partitions, that particular transformation we can call it as a wide transformation. If at all, if that transformation does not require data movement between between partitions, then we can say it is a narrow transfer matrix. So that is what I'm just saying here. A transformation, let me say, a transformation that does not require data movement between partitions is known as narrow transformations. So example is map function. We are going to say flat map. Filter. Let me keep and so on. So this is about narrow transformations. Wide transformations. Quite opposite to this. A transformation that requires data movement between partitions is known as wide transformation. This is very, very important when we question this. There is many chances to ask what is narrow transformation or what is wide transformation. So simple, if data is moving between the partitions, then we can say it is a wide transformation. If data is not moving between the partitions, then we can say it is a narrow transformation. Example for this is a group by, join, sort by, something like this. So these things we can call them as a wide transformations. Actions. Okay, so actions are used to invoke transformations. So if you don't invoke the transformation, then you cannot execute your transformations. So when it is going to execute is when you call action. When you call action, then it is going to start executing your transformations. Example for this is collect, take, and so on. Just giving one note here for RDD. RDD will not, RDDs are not going to have structure to the data. So that means structure means what we can say. Metadata. So we don't have a structure for this particular RDD when you have it. Okay, so I'm just saying that RDDs are not going to have a structure. So structure means simple, column names. So when you have a SQL server, when you write select star from table name, then you're going to get what column names along with the data, right? So here we are not going to have a column names. So in order to provide the column names, to provide structure to RDD, then we need to create data frame on top of it. On top of it, we have to create a data frame. Okay, so that is about it. So data frame is going to have a structure, the way you are going to have a readability of your SQL Server tables. The same way you are going to have it. Okay, so this is the briefly about your RDDs here. Now the question is how we can create a RDD. How many ways are there to create an RDD? How many ways are there to create an RDD? Let me change this. Okay, so here I'm just going to say different ways to create RDDs. Guys, one thing I always say, what is happening in the behind the scene, we don't need to worry about it. Okay, so how this cluster is going to work. Okay, those are all theory points. Okay, when you submit the request, how this is going to be distributed, that is going to be internal mechanism. Okay, so very starting of the PySpark, that time they used to ask all these kind of questions when you submit it. When you submit a request, how exactly it is happening. But nowadays, we don't need to worry about all those things. Everything is going to be taken care by behind the scene. So here we didn't set any server. We just created a cluster. Okay, so Databricks cluster will take care of everything. So to which node it has to send a request, that everything will be taken care by behind the scene. So as a developer, you have to know when you have a requirement, how we can do that by creating a notebook is important for us. Okay, so development is very, very concentrate on the development. So there are three different ways are there in order to create them. One is by using Python object. What are the Python objects we have seen? We have come across list. We have come across tuple. So by taking the data from the list or by taking data from the tuple, we can create a RDD. How we can create a RDD is by using Python object. By using Python object, we can create it. With parallelize function. There is a function called parallelize. Using this function, we are going to create a RDD. So when we are going to use this parallelizes, if your data set is local object. Local object means what? Python object. If the object is related to Python, then we have to use parallelize function to create a RDD. So this is one of the approach to do it. So this is also chances to use. And the second approach is by reading data from file system. By reading data from the file system. That file system may be HDFS. The file system may be cloud system. Okay, any file system. Okay, so I'm just giving in the bracket HDFS and ADLS, let's say a DBFS and ADLS or any other cloud storage systems. Okay, so since I'm going to touch this too, I'm just writing here. HDFS is out of the one because we are not going to touch this. Okay, so if you know the path of that, then you can read the data from there and to create a RDD. So this is the second way. And third way is, this is very, very important. By using existed RDD. By using existed RDD also, we are going to create a RDD. So these three different ways are there. Everything is important. So there is a chance to ask, what are the different ways to create a RDD? Or what are the different ways to create a data frame? So when we come across the data frame, I'm going to talk about how we can do it. Okay, so practically I'm going to show you how we can create a RDD with this. and how we can do all this stuff. We are going to come across that, and we are going to see the few transformations as part of the RDD. Okay, so just concentrate whatever I'm going to take it through. At least 1 or 2 times, so just do practice. You'll be having an idea. Okay. So I'm stopping here. If you have any question, you can ask.
I have one doubt, sir. Like,
Yeah.
so Spark and Python both are different or same?
Spark is a engine.
Okay.
Okay, Spark is a what you can say, data processing engine. You're getting my point.
Yeah.
Spark is a data processing engine. It's a framework. Okay. So in order to execute your code, you need to have a Spark engine. On top of the Spark engine, Databricks company created this interface to write the code. You're getting my point?
Yeah.
So a Spark is there with the on-prem also. When you go for on-prem, you can use like what we can say HDFS. They used to take majority of the times. Okay, so the problem when you go for on-premise, you have to set up the cluster. Okay, so very starting, this cluster was cheaper, but once that once the cloud enters into the market, then cluster is expensive. Even this on-prem cluster for your Hadoop projects and all expensive when you compare with the cloud. So because of that reason, majority of the projects are moving towards to this cloud clusters. The infrastructure will be taken from the cloud.
Okay.
Okay, so Spark is an engine where we are going to do the processing.
Okay. PySpark is nothing but engine plus processing.
Yes, coding.
Okay. Got it, sir.
Okay, you can write this code anywhere. Okay, you can write even in Python environment also. With Python IDE also you can write it. But you need to install Spark. Spark need to be installed.
Okay.
Here we are not installing anything. We are doing everything with the Databricks because Databricks is taking care of it.
Okay. And I have two questions related to the recordings what you uploaded. So one was 11th session, that's still evening video only, morning. That is not corrected, sir.
I can check with that meeting. I'm not having any control on it.
Okay. And
check with that meeting.
If possible, can you please 25, 26, 27 date note, sir, what you have shared with us.
27 is not correct.
Yeah.
Note you're saying?
Yes, sir, notes we are talking about.
Okay, I'll check that.
Yeah. 25, yeah, I think 27 is I think.
Note will be controlled by me only. Okay, so maybe some I may be added different. So I'll check that. 27.
Also, what are the videos that are shared? So those we need to check with admin. Okay.
Yes.
So one is renamed to 21st, sir. That is also renamed to 22nd.
What is the video sourcing? Files.
Video I'm talking about.
No, you can check. I'll get a confusion. You'll check with admin team because they're having the control on it.
We'll
so material is on 27th, right?
Yeah.
I'll check that. Okay, guys. It's late for me. I'll take a question.
One question.
Yeah.
So this cluster once we create, if we idle for 60 minutes, it will terminate.
2 hours.
2 hours will be there.
Yeah, if you by default 2 hours, but if you reduce the time, then it will be same. If once that specified time is completed, it will be terminated as it is a community edition. If it is a paid version, then it will be terminated, but you can restart it. Here you cannot restart. You have to recreate it.
Yeah, recreate means another system will.
Yeah, that is what I'm doing every day, right?
Okay.
Did you see?
So whichever we work, that would be saved. No problem.
Yeah, that will be saved. All the things will be there. You can see. You go here, all are there.
Yeah. Yesterday I was saving.
Yeah. No need to save.
So we can export that one, no? So we can take it out in our
You can. You
system.
can. You can.
Okay.
Okay, Krishna, I have to share the screen, but it's late for me. So tomorrow you can share your screen and where exactly you're facing a problem. You're saying list is not printable. So there will be something like indentation. You will be having a problem with the indentation. So tomorrow just remind me before starting the session so that you can share your screen. We'll sort it out. Okay. Okay, guys. I'm going to stop here. We'll see on tomorrow. Thank you for that.